So, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Hypnotic Rambles, episode
13.
13. And we are still staying at weight loss, but we are going to talk about food, mainly eating, craving, whatever comes under this umbrella. And I'm gonna hand it over to John because he is leading,
I'm,
apparently,
I'm the
as
expert,
always.
really. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Okay, so food. Um, it's a vital part of weight loss. And our standard formula for weight loss is calories in, calories out. And the calories come from food.
Absolutely.
The calories in come from food. The calories out come from burning it and exercise and what have you. But we also know that the food is very much tied into the beliefs that we have.
Mm.
And we dealt with that last week. But everybody, there's not a shortage of information about what's right for food. We know what's the right things to eat are.
Mm.
So the only question is, why don't we?
Exactly. And it all goes back to beliefs again, what we believe, um, and the unconscious connection to eating, I think, or the conditioning from different countries, from different traditions, different
Yeah, I mean,
people, families.
food education is a part, but
Mm.
in general, we know that processed food is not necessarily good for us. We know that natural and healthy food is what we should be eating. Um, and there's less calories attached to most of that. There's so much things now that you can actually find that'll measure all the calories for you. They're in the back of packets as well. But I mean, the information is freely available if someone takes the time to do it. So the question is then, what is it that allows people to eat healthy food continuously rather than processing junk food or processed food or food that adds calories to us? Um, and that's where we come in as hypnotists to try and help people to make that change.
Yeah, it's to disconnect from those foods, as in the meaning, because we do have a meaning in here somewhere, right? I believe that if I eat that chocolate, I will be happy. Or we use it as a reward, or we use it for whatever reason, right? Or also the other meaning is that, oh, if I'm going to eat it, so it's coming from fear, right? Oh, if I'm going to eat that, I'm going to gain weight, or it's not good for me.
Yeah,
Both meanings are not really helping us. So I think it's about neutralizing, isn't it?
it
How we
is.
perceive
And
food.
it's also about scheduling because the lifestyle that we live also, and I think we mentioned this before, the lifestyle that we live doesn't necessarily, particularly if it's urban and you're busy, um, and you're grabbing food as you go, and I'm guilty of that, then it's going to be like you're not always buying the healthiest foods. And of course, you know, try and pay for something in a shop without having an array of colored, processed, high calorie foods in front of you. And just, for anyone who wants to do the exercise, just walk into any shop and see how easy that is.
Yeah.
So it's about taking away the belief that that food is of any value, um, whether it's grabbing something conveniently or whether it is that you're using it as a comfort food of some type.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's something else that we need to look at before we go and plan our food, because sometimes there are things behind it that will come out, even if okay, I wake up in the morning, I'm going to plan, but we may trip or slip because there is an emotion, there is something behind it that will move us closer or towards that food that we don't really want to eat, or we believe that it's not good for us. So if we take away the shoulds, that we should eat this, we should do
Mm.
this, I think it all comes down to, firstly, going back to the basics, eating when we are hungry. And it's not the mental hunger or the emotional hunger that we have, but it's the actual physical hunger, right? When our body needs fuel, it's like the same as with the car. When it's emptying, right? It's empty. We need to put fuel into it, and then it's going to run perfectly again. I mean, it's still running if it's only a teeny tiny fuel in there, but we do need to fill it up. And that's what we need to do with our bodies, to recognize that whether what I am feeling is an actual physical hunger or a mental or emotional hunger, right? And then eat what we want, or perhaps when we are a little bit further down the road, we can learn to intuitively eat, so that we listen to our body and, okay, what do I need? What does my body need? Does it need a little meat? I mean, it's for not vegetarian, but what does it need? A little bit of vegetable or whatever. And then stopping. So not overeating, right? Stopping. So if you go back to a newborn baby, or a baby who, or even a few months old, so babies are eating only when they are hungry, and they stop. They spit it out. And even if the mother tries to overfeed them, they will just spit it, or they throw up, right? Because their body is in alignment with everything that is connected to food and hunger and energy. So I think this is where we need to start. But that's, I'm again talking from my own experience with clients and myself.
I think you're absolutely correct, because if we come into this world just only needing the food that we need, and only eating the food that we need, where do we lose it along the way? How do we change along the way? And for me, there's always two things. One is, that food serves a purpose to us. Maybe it's emotional, but the other is
Mm.
learned behavior. We learn to eat 3 times a day. We learn not to leave a full plate, not to leave food behind. We learn various things. And like, I suppose one of the best tips that I could give anybody is, if you think you're hungry, have a glass of water. And if you're still hungry after that, because often the hunger that we think we're trying to satisfy is actually thirst.
So right, yeah.
you know? And I mean, if somebody's losing weight, there's various ways in which to do that. It is calories in, calories out. It's also going for extended periods, whether it's fasting of some type, whether it's for a few hours or whether it's for 12 hours is probably a recommended amount, and then the body starts to burn those calories even more.
Mm.
But you're getting to that stage. But what you're raising is the issues that go behind it, which is beliefs, and that you still go back to that junk food or that processed food or that
Yeah.
high calorie food, and because it provides a comfort. And I suppose the beauty of what we do in terms of hypnosis is we educate people to what is the right foods, but it's the right foods for them.
Exactly. That is the key here. And it's not about, okay, you can't eat this from now, you can't eat that from now. And it's
No,
no, it's
absolutely.
about, let's reset everything. And I love the question that you just asked at the beginning, where you said, where do we lose this natural instinct to eat when we are hungry and eat what we need, right? And we lose it along the line when we are really young. Because when we're just having milk, right, we can't have anything else, right? It's just that's what it is, whether it's formula or breast milk, that's what we have. So there's no other food. But then we are open to the world's food, and then we start to try things, taste things. And if you're really honest about it, we don't really like very sweet food or too salty foods as in the beginning, but we used it because we see everyone else is eating it around us. But where we lose this is again coming from, and it's not to point the fingers to the parents, because they always do the best in that every single moment to their knowledge, right? But it's when they, oh, have you had a bad day? Oh, let's have a slice of cake, or let's just treat ourselves to a burger or a hot dog. So we start to learn to associate food with situations, what we are going through, to emotions. And then also it grows from there, right? We come out of school as children, and our parents are waiting with the chocolate. Oh, you've been such a good boy or such a good girl. Here's a chocolate for this hard day. So we are already learning to reward ourselves with food when we we've done well, or just treat ourselves when we did not so well,
Correct.
as in bring our mood up, if you like, right? Which is
Yeah.
again, yeah, it's wrong. And I
Yeah.
may have now many comments that, I'm wrong, but no, I am absolutely right. We are teaching
Well,
our children.
yeah, I think you're right. Because the other side of it is that when we're in, whether it's a lower or high emotional state, whether we're celebrating something or whether we're not feeling good about ourselves, our minds are more open to receive that guidance, and it's more likely to go in as that habit or that
Yeah,
behavior, more likely to stick. Um, so it's about, and then as if somebody later on in life is trying to change that, then that's where the willpower battle comes, because the belief says one thing or the behavior says one thing, and the mind says something else entirely. It's like, no, we're not having that. Oh, yes, we are. No, we're not. Oh, yes, we are. No, we're not. Oh, yes, we are. Until eventually, oh, yes, we are is the only answer. You
emotion will
know,
win.
emotion always wins. So, it is about giving people then the tools to help them to make those right food choices. And whether that is something like a mind-body reconnect, whether that's, just knowledge about foods and using hypnosis to try and create the right sensations that come with each of those type of foods, or whether it's things like gastric bands or virtual jabs or whatever that we can do in hypnosis that allow people to experience, less need for food
Yes.
because stomach size is smaller.
Yes. And what we do as hypnotherapists or hypnotists is to help people to reset everything and go back to the natural state, right? And then also to neutralize food, because I think that's a very key part of this, to not see the food as a reward or something to use to numb ourselves, or take away the pain, or bring us closer to pleasure, but to look at it as it's fuel for my body, right? And then also, if you fancy a bar of chocolate, there's nothing wrong with it. So again, to take away the guilt, to this battle with the food, that, oh, should I eat it, should I not, should I eat it, should I not, should I go for it, should I not go for it? And this is, I think it can be very transformational for many people, when you have no more um, thoughts about food. You realize that, oh my god, I have so much free space in my mind, I have so much free time, because I don't think about it. I look at it, yeah, it's food. And yes, we are conditioned, and we are taught to look at food like that, right? To use food as a tool for so many things. But is that beneficial for us, really? Or is it not? Because if it's not, then let's learn something else. Let's relearn it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to celebrate with something else that is more beneficial for me. That's
Yeah,
a
no,
bit.
absolutely. And everything in moderation is fine. I mean, there's nothing,
Mm,
a bar of chocolate in moderation is absolutely fine. It's just having one, a few times a day or every day or whatever. It's going to add up. I mean, the other side of it is, if you think also, having it late in the evening when the body doesn't have time to process, means that it just stays in the body, and it's not burnt off. So having, particularly processed food late in the evening is not necessarily good for the body, because the body just can't process it. You're not
mm,
moving as much sitting on the sofa, or whatever it is, but you're not really moving. So there's a whole range of techniques that people can use in terms of helping to manage weight, and even to still have food, but not to beat themselves up over it, and not to get the effects that they have been getting in the past. Because the other side of it, and I know there's probably a separate discussion about this, but is that if we believe that food is bad for us, in essence, what it does is it slows down the metabolism and the rate at which we burn.
so
You know,
true.
and that's not something that's often factored in, but as we work with minds, we already know that that is a truth, that is just there. Yes, we don't process it. Yes, we don't burn those calories because we're eating it late. But if we happen to believe also that this is bad for us, expectation effect tells us that's what's exactly going to happen. It's going to stay there. But
Yeah,
that makes me fat. Okay, it does.
it does,
You know,
because
I
because
know
we
that's a very
talk.
blunt statement, yeah, but it's self-talk. because our minds are unique to each and every one of us. So if they're unique, if your mind is unique to you and you give it an instruction, then that's your instruction. I may take your mind a different instruction.
So, so true. So, so true.
You know? So the beliefs that we have, and we dealt with beliefs last week, but the beliefs we have are important. They're really key behind it all. They're probably the first step. But the second step then is the food that we eat. And it's about re-educating the mind to what's healthy for me, what's healthy for you. And then scheduling.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you think about our society, what do? We celebrate, we have a meal. That's fine, but then we continue to look for those celebrations continuously, continue to eat those type of foods. It's fine in moderation. Everything's fine in moderation.
Yeah, and that's where it comes in to recognize, yeah, to become aware that, okay, am I using food to numb something, to not feel something, or am I using food more often than not to reward myself, to celebrate something? Because every now and then it's there is nothing wrong with it, but am I doing it way too often and then over it as well with that, right? So I'm finishing the 3 course of every single bit of it. Do I really need that much food? Or could I get to the place where I can just eat some of it, enjoy it, but then feeling absolutely amazing, put it down? Then, okay, not to overeat myself, not to stretch my stomach that much.
And the other side of it, and I know it's not necessarily connected to food, but it is, it's connected to everything really. But if you think about that, all emotion is created from the inside. It's how we perceive it. It's what we view it as.
Mm.
We're giving that food that permission to help us feel good in that moment. I mean, it's actually really easy to sit down, close your eyes, imagine a time you felt really good, and just be there just for a minute or two. You'll actually feel good in that moment straight away. You don't necessarily need the food to do that. So that's a fairly simple, if someone was to think about being healthy and just think about the time in their life when they felt really healthy, where do they feel it? And just the more you
Connect to
go
those
into that
feelings,
moment, you just
yeah.
connect those feelings, you create them inside you.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah, it's connecting to those feelings as well. But also you've mentioned it too, and I really like to emphasize it, is when what's right for every single person, because what's right for me may not be right for you, or even if there's another woman the same build, same height, and it's just not going to be the same for them, because we are built inside as well differently, completely differently. We are bringing into our body different genes, different DNAs to everyone else compared to others. So, and again, I've mentioned this in I think in a belief episode that even if you think that our mothers are a certain shape and we are going to have to be that shape, it's not necessarily true, because we have other genes from our father's side, right? Or vice versa. So we have to be open to the possibility that if we change our beliefs about the shapes and sizes and food, we might be able to just reach what we want. And the personalized, what we can offer really through hypnotherapy is personalized sessions, because some people believe that maybe if you eat once a day, then it's, I'm going to lose weight because I'm not eating for the rest of like 23 hours. But that might not be true for everyone, because there's a possibility that the body is actually holding onto the food because it doesn't know when it's going to get some more, right? Some people believe in 5 times, 6 times eating. And that might be too much for another person, right? So it's always good to be open-minded and try out different ways of eating. So what is it right for what's right for me and what's right for you? So it has to be personalized because we are all different.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned genes and genetics, and mentioned last week about epigenetics. Hold that vision of yourself of what it is that you want to be. That they're the genes that you'll turn on the more you believe. So, and then it's about connecting, and the whole individual part is also very relevant. Like if somebody's is in the process of changing a diet and they want to go from, low carb, they want to go from high carb to low carb, and the food choices may well be important. So if somebody's recommending particular foods, that may not be. Say, for instance, if someone recommended me to eat rice, I just don't like the texture of rice. I won't eat it. Then I'll replace it with some other carb which mightn't be right for me. So, that's why the individual has that choice in terms of what it is that's actually right for them.
Yeah, yeah. And I love this way of getting into shape or getting to the right weight for you that you think is right for you want to be, or changing the eating habits, is because with hypnosis or hypnotherapy, you're not following a strict diet. And this is not a diet. This is a complete mindset change of seeing the food differently, neutralizing it, looking at exercise, not a chore, but finding the movement. I always call it moving your body in a way that is enjoyable for you, because any movement is going to start burning calories, right? And it doesn't have to be these exercises that are not really in alignment with you, or changing the beliefs that are really not good for you to the ones that are beneficial for you. And that's what I love about it. It's not about following a strict or fat diet. That will most certainly, once you finish, will not going to work afterwards, because you're going to go back to where you were, because you haven't changed how you see, the mentality, the emotional state. You haven't changed any of that. Then the diet will only work as long as you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah, it'll always be a willpower battle, even when,
Always.
the weight loss program is over, that group session that you're doing is over, those joint weighing sessions. When that's over, and if you haven't changed the habits and behaviors that you have and beliefs about them, you'll always have a willpower battle. It'll only take something else to push people back, which is why people continuously end up going back to those programs. Whereas with hypnosis, it becomes a permanent change.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
is it okay if I share a tip with the audience, do you think? I've learned this from my very first hypnotherapy trainer, and he calls it the reverse diary. So it's not mine, but I really love it, because many, many places you go to for losing weight, they're going to ask you to monitor everything. So to put down, make a list of every single bit that you've eaten or drank. But then at the end of the day, when you just look at that list, if you're really truly honest with yourself, you're going to feel bad, because you're going to realize how much you've eaten, right? So what if we reverse this, and we're going to start a diary where, if I have a thought that, oh, I want to eat that chocolate, and I'm going to go for that chocolate, I'm going to have it in my hand. But before I put it in my mouth, before I take the first bite, I'm going to scan my body. How do I feel? What is the emotion that is going through in my body that I am experiencing? And just look at it from that way. Am I hungry? Am I sad? Am I happy? Am I bored? Right? And then you can connect every single time you eat to something, that eating to an emotion, because even if you're just hungry, that is an emotion, right? That is a feeling in the body. And then, or am I just thirsty? And then to make the decision. And this is how you become aware why you are eating, right? Whether you are eating because your body needs the food or not. And you can go for it. And there is no, before you start this, you have to make sure that you are not going to beat yourself up
Yeah.
if you're going to still go for that chocolate, because this is just an exercise to become aware of, why am I eating most of the time during the day, right? And I think this is really, really amazing, because I've done it for myself, and it really opened the door to my whole in a world of, oh, actually, more often than not, I am eating for emotions, right? For because I felt a certain way. That was back then, when I had issues with it, and it's really great.
Mhm.
So you just, before you put any food into your mouth, scan your body. Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? What am I feeling? And then decide whether to go for it or not. And you can always take a break, as John suggested. Have a glass of water, have something, or just go walk outside of that kitchen, right? Just walk out of it, and then come back, and then see if you're still wanting it. I think that can
Changing
help you.
state, changing state, doing
Yeah.
something different will always change an emotion. It just it is that simple. Just do something different in a moment. And the other one that and I know a lot of people recommend it, but just in case someone hasn't heard it, is blue plates. This whole idea of
I've
marketing.
not heard of that.
You know heard of that? Okay.
No, no.
There's a whole field of color psychology.
Yeah.
And when you walk into a shop, that's what you're facing. You're facing color psychology. Stuff is designed to be attractive. It's also connected to the program you might be watching in the evening. It's a feel-good program, and suddenly there's a food that's been advertised and you're going with it. But if you associate, say, green plates would there'll be healthy choices. Blue plates, you don't eat as much.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody has a blue plate, and there's more likely that they'll have smaller portion sizes,
Even if they have their favorite food on it.
even if they have their favorite food on it.
That's very interesting. I know color psychology, but I
And
haven't heard of the food.
blue gives you the feeling of being filled up.
Wow, that's amazing.
So if
I have to experiment that, you know.
somebody wants to test that, please do.
Brilliant, brilliant. So you now have the tool of the reverse diary, and then now you have the tool of using the blue plate, which will give you the feeling of satisfaction or maybe feeling full physically. What would you
You feel full. You
feel
feel
full?
full sooner. So
Nice.
you
So
and
I
if you
will test that
want
out.
to eat healthy, put a green plate.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. I love colored
You'll notice
patterns
it over
and
time. I mean, you won't may not necessarily notice that very first time, but over time you'll notice it. You do notice how much you're eating over a period of time. You notice it gets smaller and smaller, or healthier and healthier, whatever it is that you're looking to do.
nice.
So,
I think that's a great idea. I love it. I really do love it. And
it's
it's,
simple.
yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant, brilliant.
it's simple.
So is there anything else that you'd like to mention in this episode, or
Um,
do you think we've covered the
I think the
most of?
real thing is that, and this goes back to everything that we do in hypnotherapy, is that as human beings, we have the power to change our beliefs about anything. We don't have to accept what we've always been given.
Mm,
And we have that power to change. We just need to give ourselves permission. With hypnosis, we have those tools that can speed up that process. But anybody can change in a moment. You can literally close your eyes now and think of one of the happiest moments in your life and see a smile spread across your face. No matter what you were thinking a few moments ago, we all have that power to do that. And that can be a permanent change because we think differently about food. And hypnosis just helps to reinforce that, to ease that process very simply.
yeah, yeah. And
It
what
is
what
about recognizing our own power, our own strength
mm,
in which to do that.
absolutely. And if somebody wants to give this a go, if you feel a certain way, let's say you're negatively, and you feel you're drawn to the food, quickly think of something that puts a smile on your face, right? A different state, and then make the decision if you're going to go for that food. I bet you're going to feel differently about that food because it's not going to be that inviting anymore. It's also about, yeah, as you said, the changing the state is really it's in your hand, that power. It's within you. You can do it anytime, anywhere, in seconds. And if you don't know how, you'd like to know more about it, please get in touch with us because we are more than happy to
Yeah,
help you. No strings attached. It's just we just want to help people because we know how powerful our mind is, and I think everyone should use it to their advantage and to the fullest. I think
absolutely. It's only a matter of changing the program.
absolutely. And with that, I think we need to bring this to a close.
Really.
So you have 2 tips in here now, and we'll continue next week. Anything that we missed out, we are going to give you a promise that one day we will cover it because we're just going to continue ramble
We'll ramble there.
about, yeah, we'll ramble there somehow.
Absolutely.
Um, so with that, I'd like to thank you for listening and watching, and have a magical day wherever you are.
Take care. Bye. See you
Bye.
next week.